Ladies and gents, welcome back to 2PT's One Podcast, the most light-hearted podcast you will ever find in the fitness industry, with your hosts, Miles Harrison and Mike Ellis. Today we are on episode 27, and I feel like I'm putting on a voice. We are going to be talking about the all or nothing approach. So obviously, within fitness, this can be a very, very big spectrum. But I think, especially from me posting yesterday and having a conversation with one of our mates, it's come to light that it applies very widely. I was trying to think of fancy words and I was like, no, widely is going to be probably the best one because there's no point ever complicating something as simple as all or nothing. So if you didn't see the post I put on yesterday, it basically spoke about calories and counting calories. And if you're not going to be in a position to count every single calorie, there is no point in counting any of your calories because you might just be shortchanging yourself. Or if in your head you've got this idea that you're putting in a dash of oil, how much do you classify as a dash? And you can't really calorie count a dash because no one knows what your dash is. I might have a dash, Miles might have a dash, but it could be completely different scales of how much oil is actually being used.
Yeah. And pretty much to make it a short story, I slid into his DMs and said, "Nah, mate, I think you're wrong here, and this is why we've got this episode right here, right now." Pretty much. But that's another thing, really. That's what conversations are like. Like, there's a beauty within differences, a bit of discussion, stuff like that. Like, people could have different opinions, different could have different approaches, and not one is pretty wrong, and not one is pretty right. You, especially like you say now in like fitness industry and stuff like that, not even just fitness, but just all over round, you're gonna find that there's a black or white answer to anything isn't the case. This is why probably like most people are going to use the words like depends, what that matters on this situation and stuff like that. But the moment I said it to Mike, the moment I pretty much contradicted myself because I remember saying to Mike at one point, saying like, right, if you don't weigh yourself every single day, there's no point weighing yourself because of the issues it can cause. But then that's based on my own opinions, that's based on my own experience and stuff like that. But if I'm arguing in the sense of you, Mike, of the fact that, right, if you're not going to track everything, because I don't track everything, like I'm not that strict on stuff, then I'm contradicting myself by saying it with the weight things as well. Now,
I mean,
I
was just gonna say like we can obviously just like spitball it and say like, oh, you're not tracking calories, but obviously you can make adjustments in terms of not having to track and be making better choices. So like for me, I use Fry Light with like every meal that I prep. If I'm bulking or cutting, like
I think the lifesaver. But
yeah,
like the reason why I disagree with it quite a bit is because if you're especially someone who's brand new to tracking, like you have no idea, like this is the first time you've ever used anything like MyFitnessPal, you write notes, then you're not going to be perfect. You might have some knowledge gaps. You might have a certain relationship with certain types of food and stuff like that. And very much from my standards and stuff like that, like it's if you're going to be doing it for a long time, if you're going to do it for the long run and stuff like that, like take your time with it, like learn to develop it right, and then add on and stuff like that. And then the other one was like it begs the question of like, right, well, some people don't like the fact that they're tracking everything down to a T, and doing that as well can also cause unhealthy, definitely relationships. And the fact that like, right, you'll see everything as numbers, calories, macros, and stuff like that. When I've obviously advocated before about using food as it primarily what it should be, fuel. Now I agree if you want to be the most accurate, and let's say for example, let's say like a bodybuilder and something like that, and they prep for a show, then yes, every little minor calories is going to matter because you're going out there to look the best you possibly can. But let's say your average grandma Linda. I'm using my own grandma here, for example, and stuff like that. Like,
Big
yeah,
up.
yeah, she doesn't need to weigh out 50 grams of spinach and stuff like that because it doesn't resonate with her goals and stuff like that. And it might take the sometimes a little bit of fun and a bit of extra prep work and stuff like that included.
I just feel like the focus has been so much on making sure that everything's correct that people neglect to find out the easier ways of doing it.
Okay.
So, like, there's no one coming out here and telling you the tricks of, oh, you don't need to put peanut butter in another bowl and then put it onto your bagel. All you do is you put the entire peanut butter on a scale, zero it, take out what you want, and just figure out what's been missing from the peanut butter jar. But there's no one out here that information.
Yeah.
Like, the education that's around, oh, you just need to track everything. Yes, whilst I've just put it on my post, there is still a lot more to learn in the tricks to actually get it done efficiently. And if you're there with butter just being like, oh yeah, gotta get that, oh, no, my gram over, shit.
I've done that. I've done that.
Yeah, I've done that.
I've been that person. And at the time, to be fair, I quite enjoy tracking. I'm quite weird like that. I'm the type of person who will weigh out exactly 47 grams of popcorn or something like that. But yeah, exactly. But there are people who are very brand new to it, and there's very people who maybe have done it for a long period of time. And there's also arguments and discussion of, right, well, are you going to be, are the point of you tracking your food and stuff like that to eventually in the long term not to track your food? There's an argument of like whether you should do it or not. I think it's kind of like, as much as it is for like obviously fuel and stuff like that, it's almost like looking at it from a financial point. You're not just gonna start looking at finances to save up for a house, and then the moment you buy a house, you stop doing your finances. It's something that you grow and you learn and develop, and hopefully by the time you've saved up for a house, you've developed habits and tracking ways that work well with you. And this is where, like you were saying before, and the fact that having the knowledge there means that you can be a little bit more relaxed because you've got the confidence then to go on and do it if needs be. Like for example, like I've mentioned before, I don't track my sauces or sprays and stuff like that, but I know that right, this sauce and this spray has less calories into it, and if I'm roughly doing the same amount, and I'm staying in position of like let's say the same kind of body fat, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm thinking the same, then all is well. But if I start putting loads of weight on and I'm tracking and stuff like that, then I know I can go, right, I need to track a little bit more stricter to be back to where I am. So there's times and efforts and stuff like that.
Did you read my post yesterday? Did you read the details?
Yes.
I'm not going to be anal with you if you didn't, but I'm speaking of this in terms of like, if you did a jigsaw and you did one piece a day, you're eventually going to get that done. But then also, if you're adding a tiny bit of oil each day, long term, that's going to add up. So I did it to Filippo Berio? You know, like the cooking oil, like extra virgin olive oil.
Oh, yeah.
So a tablespoon. So realistically, a tablespoon is what, probably about that long?
Yeah.
And that is probably going to get used over 2 meals a day, and that's 120 calories, 14 grams of fat. If you did that for 2 meals, I mean, this isn't even including the third meal, 840 calories a week, 3,360 a month. So you're potentially putting, for some people, an extra 2 days worth of food into something you're not tracking.
Yeah.
That's when I feel like the detail needs to be in, and that's just for one thing. That's not like talking about like having ketchup and barbecue sauce and anything else like you're putting in.
And that also teaches the lesson that right, make sure you read captions on posts and stuff like that because sometimes there's a lot more attention to it. You all know about I don't read, but anyway, yeah, I agree. But then the message across shouldn't be the fact of you either track or you don't, or should it be the message of learn the knowledge within tracking?
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to come along and be like, right, you need to track your water, and all it's like, water is water, 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 is
Aqua.
water.
H2O. Quality H2O.
Hey, water boy. But no, like for something as important as something that you wouldn't consider daily, like if you have like 2 days a week where you don't count it, I ain't got an issue.
Yeah.
If you're doing it to every single day, to everything, and then you're saying, oh, you're going out to a restaurant, like I know coaches that will have like a meal planner, not even a meal planner, like a plan for like a restaurant so you can get the calories and everything. That's obviously since knowing you speak to the restaurant, you know all the values, you know what they're cooking with. But then if you go to like a pub, do you know what they're cooking with? Like, do you know the values? Are you eating your entire day's food in one meal? That's where I feel like there's a difference between planning and just like going off the rails a bit.
Yeah. And also, no, even on restaurants, I know my fitness pal has a lot of restaurants included. I mean, the only restaurant I go to do again, but yeah, but you don't fully understand. Like, they could be adding how much different chicken, like for example, different foods and different chicken might have different amount of sauces on it. It's not always consistent. But yeah, I think definitely agree in the fact that like everyone should be tracking to some degree. I definitely track that. I think everyone definitely should learn about what they're tracking and why they're tracking. But I think consistency beats perfection at times. I think because no one's going to be perfect at one point. I think even like let's say for like the grand scheme of things, I think people let's even like you say goal setting stuff. People aim for that perfection straight away before they built a solid foundation. Where the biggest things in life, like let's say businesses, um, businesses, a body, any long-term habits and stuff like that, um, they all take massive amount of time and massive amount of consistency.
Yeah, it's like if I came to you and said, right, okay, I want you to read a book a day, you'd probably last for about 4 days and then be like, oh, I haven't got the time, or I can't be bothered, so you just give up. So this is where like the 10 pages a day thing comes in. And it's like if you do a little bit each day over the year, you'll probably actually do the same amount of work as reading for like 2 months a book every day.
Yeah.
And just giving up because you can't be bothered with it.
It's breaking it down. It's breaking down in smaller pieces, and this is something like even I've mentioned on my Instagram. It's the fact that quicker, more dramatic, bigger changes demand a lot more sacrifice, a lot more adaptations very quickly, and your priorities, your values, your current habits may not match that right now.
I've got a really weird analogy, and I don't know why it's coming into my head. Right, I've got a question for you.
Oh God, go ahead.
Have you ever seen a house being built? Like, have you seen it under construction?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a McDonald's under construction?
No.
So, like, with a house, you're taking your time, you're putting it down brick by brick. You get to a McDonald's, and everything's literally IKEA. So they literally come in, slot it all together, put the roof on. Right, let's go. Let's serve some food.
Yeah, and to add on to that analogy, their automated systems always seem to be buggered every time I seem to go, but I seem to go every once a month. But
and what lasts longer?
Yeah, ours. The little piggies.
That's made him think.
That's it. That's hurt my head this morning. That's actually quite a good analogy. I'll give you that, man. Well done, Mike. Let's round of applause.
It's one of them things. It's like you never see McDonald's saying "coming soon." There always just seems to be one there.
It just pops up.
Yeah.
It just pops up. I remember like, and even still like, I know we're going a little bit off topic here, but I remember when like one of the lockdowns first happened and McDonald's opened up their driveway first time they opened their driveway in the lockdown, and people of Congleton will know this, but you know Root Hill.
You messaged me, I think, on this because you were out on a
I
walk
put
and
on a
you were like,
story. I was like, there was a queue coming from all the driveway to a roundabout up this hill
to the
past.
fire
Is it the fire
station.
station? Yeah, past the
Yeah.
fire station, and I walked all of that way. And the by the time I walked from the top of the other side of Rue Hill to the bottom and up, I think it moved by 1 or 2 spaces. I was thinking like, bloody hell, these Big Macs must be something like.
I'm going to say something stereotypical here.
Oh god.
If you were in that queue on that first day, I don't think this podcast is for you. Because your priorities are very far off.
Maybe yeah. Yeah.
Watch the peak of just people dropping off on the episode now.
I was like, why you bloody people like? I prefer KFC anyway.
Yeah, but drawing it back, like the habits that you build for long-term success are going to be put down brick by brick. If you try and put an entire wall in the space of a day, more than likely you're not going to succeed long term.
No, and the analogy that I used quite a lot for this, and I've used this actually saying that this morning when I was walking with a client, like even let's say the fundamental things of like muscle building, like a lot of people when it comes to, I know we're going a little bit off topic here, but obviously the all or nothing and stuff like that, and people let's say face like a bump in the road or hiccup and stuff like that. A lot of these people like don't realize that let's say even muscle building that there's going to be time, there's going to be stress involved and stuff like that. There's going to be some issues that come about before something can be repaired and rebuilt. So sometimes you have to go within a bit of, you have to be technically comfortable with being uncomfortable. There's going to be an element of a period of time maybe where you haven't got a clue where you're doing. So things won't be bang on perfect. But if you're aiming or if you're doing each and every single day and you're doing, let's say, like 1 or 2 things a day that are resonating with what you want to do, whether that's building a healthy lifestyle, like looking good in your body and stuff like that, performance within the sport and stuff like that, like there's gonna be periods of time where if you're not there yet, there is gonna be a bit of period where it's gonna feel uncomfortable. Because if you didn't feel comfortable, you'd be there.
I am listening. I'm just trying to find a post because it's really resonating with what you're saying. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
Yeah. And the thing is,
I couldn't remember the exact saying for it, but
and I always say to people in the fact that your best idea that you had in your life got you to where you are right now. We're gonna have to change the name for the 2PTs1 podcast. We're gonna have to change it to the analogycities.com.
But no, there's so much going on, and I think I had this conversation the other day with someone in the fact of saying, realistically, you've come. I'll make it relevant now. You've come and started to listen to this podcast because me and Miles are actually hilarious. Yes, that's number one.
Stand-up shows galore and stuff like that.
Like
we're letting Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
We're letting Kevin Hart have his moment. Like once he's grown a little bit older, then we'll come into stage light.
Miles is the Kevin Hart because of his size.
Size joke.
But subconsciously, you're here listening to this podcast because you've read the title and you want to either learn something or it resonates with you. Like, we go over the analytics of previous episodes when we start an episode, and the fact that certain episodes are picking up traction is because deep down people understand the scenario and they want to learn more, or they actually just want to push themselves. Like, if people didn't want to push themselves, me and Miles wouldn't have jobs.
I think if we didn't want to push ourselves, we wouldn't be in the job.
Yeah. But in the same respect of there's a certain part of you where if you feel crap, you still know that you want to do better.
Yeah.
But there's something that
No one
changes within you.
likes. I say that. No one likes the thought of being constantly unhappy. No one does. But there's a lot of people who have maybe grown up in different situations where they expect it to be normal. So anytime they do anything that's pushing them towards a most positive or a better outcome, their old habits, their old lifestyle, the way that they got brought up is conflicting with that thought alignment and stuff like that. And that's the biggest change that most people have. I know that's something that is very on a more deeper level than anything like that. And if I'm telling you now, like any habits that you want to do, whether that's like even like let's say like quit smoking, stuff like that, all stuff like that will have a deeper meaning view than just the habit itself.
Yeah. It's really funny because now, especially we're recording this March 12th. We normally give it like the Monday after we start recording, and everything's blowing up on socials at the minute because of obviously how women feel and
I
how
completely
like
miss that.
women are treated. Pardon?
I completely miss it. I mean, as much as I am on social media, I completely excuse myself from it. Especially with like, even like the news as well. I don't watch the news because I don't like watching. Because especially with the news is there to attract a certain emotion. In my opinion, it seems like there's just loads of negative stuff out there. It just seems to focus on the bad to get a response. And yeah, sometimes you might miss on a few things like you just mentioned. That's something that's quite important like that. But I don't miss out on it because I'm leading by my own values and stuff like that. I'm making myself, I'm changing them things for things that are more inclusive of myself, things that are going to make me want to improve and stuff like that. I just don't feel like an hour of my day where I'm listening to crap like that is going to benefit me in any sort of way.
I really don't listen to the news. I probably find out more news from my parents than I do from the news itself.
Yeah.
But I care
Or Sky
more on
Sports
how it.
News.
Yes, always.
Always.
But I care more about how it comes back onto my clients.
Yeah.
Like, I I'm gonna sound really sentimental with the fact that like I really care how my clients are, like mentally, physically, everything else. And for me to come out and say to a client, okay, yeah, we just need to get the cardio, and for them to turn around and say, yeah, sorry, I don't want to go out at night, is horrific. Like, I can't believe it's actually this year. And it's like the all or nothing approach of saying, okay, we could change it to say like this. It's like we can't have an all or nothing approach because the scenario around us is stupid.
Yeah. But I mean that's a whole discussion in itself. I think a way of summing this up in the fact that when it comes to changes and making positive outcomes and stuff like that, you need to first of all look within yourself. You do. You need to look within kind of like what's your values, what makes you up, where are you currently at. Then have a somewhat vision of where you want to go. Because ideally, like no one wants to be the world's best tracker on MyFitnessPal. I don't.
There's not a medal for that.
Yeah, there's no gold medal and stuff like that. But there are things like out there, like people want to have records broken of like how much weight they can lift, how fast they can improve, how many goals they can score within a season. There's just a few and stuff like that, and they will like even like the best athletes in the world and stuff like that. They're the master of competition, but they've always said like how many times they've done something and failed, done it so many times and failed and failed and failed and failed. And the reason why I'm saying this right now is the fact that if you go for this all or nothing approach and you do the all approach and you fail at it completely, well, then you're not failing at that. Sorry, you are failing that approach, but what you're actually doing is failing because a certain extent. One, it might not be currently where you're at the moment. There might not be a level of expertise that needs there. Like I said, knowledge gap might not be there and stuff like that. You haven't given it enough time to actually see your results and stuff like that. Like there's a load of aspects that make that. And I think once you say to yourself, like, right, I'm either in or out on this diet, yes or no.
Yeah.
One thing is definitely the only thing that is certain in this life hold is a change. There is no cemented things. The things that you will do today, the person you are today, the values that you have today, won't be the same in the next 10 years. And if they are, you've not improved. You've stagnated. And I've mentioned this so many times before. If you stagnated, you might as well have one foot in the grave. Like no one wants to be the exact same person all the time. I don't. And I'm guessing if you've listened to this podcast, you listen to other podcasts that say the same thing. We're not on this earth to stay still. We're all here to build on something. Some people want to build on relationships. Some people want to build on families. Some people want to build on their jobs. Some people want to build on their bodies and who they are. We've all gone on our own journey in our kind of sense way. So that's why I don't believe in the all or nothing approach. I think you can aim to be a master of something, and as we all know, the master takes, I think it's something like 10,000 hours of expertise of doing it. That's what they say for the hourly rate of mastery.
Yeah.
But then if you have a hiccup, if you're doing an all approach Monday to Friday and you diet, Saturday comes and you've gone to your best mate's birthday party and you've had a bit of cake, and then Sunday you're off it again, and you repeat that cycle, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Where there's going to be times where you're going to put things as top priorities, and there's going to be times when you're not.
It's just living for the week. I think we mentioned this. Was it the last episode on emotional
weekend? It's very interesting, like how we, as kids, we go from this like school thing on Monday to Friday, and then weekends off. So we, from a very young, I know I'm going very off topic here, but it's funny how like Monday to Friday we'll go do your work, do the hard work, do things you might not really enjoy, and then on the weekend you can do whatever you want and have fun. And that doesn't change. That doesn't change until you're like. Some people it doesn't even change until retirement.
Yeah, but then that is the all or nothing approach. It's like you're giving your diet the all approach Monday to Friday because you're keeping busy, and then you can have a bit of free time on the weekend, and it's the nothing approach where you're just like, well, yeah, but then how much damage are you like seeping into the rest of the week, and then you're just chasing your Monday and Tuesday because your diet's poor, because you're like, I had a binge at the weekend, so now I'm having to catch up and level out my week.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't need to do like that.
We and also as well as humans, we're made to focus on the bad things very easily. Like if you had 6 very, very good days, and the 7th day you fuck up, you'll focus on that one day.
Yeah.
But then it's almost like training yourself to go, well, no, because I did 6 very good days. That means that if I keep that consistency up for a longer period of time, let's say I look for a month, then 4 out of them 26, 27 days are going to be bad. And then in a longer period of time. Now, obviously, saying that, again, that can't be a black and white answer, because if you're binging 4,000 calories on that Saturday, and then the other days you're eating 2,000 calories and you're trying to get a deficit, then you're going to put yourself back into a surplus and stuff like that. But the idea of it is there, like, don't just go all in, expect to get a result, and then because you haven't met that reality, or that reality isn't what you wanted, doesn't mean that you don't just divert a little bit and just stop. Yeah. You divert, you carry on and stuff like that. And I think whether that's tracking your food, weighing yourself all the time, trying to hit like a PB training, I think it needs proper planning. And I think you can't just go at it all the time because you'll just burn yourself out.
My laptop is on 7%, so should we wrap it?
We should indeed, because Michael doesn't know what a charger is. But anyway, ladies and
I have to
gentlemen,
room, thank you.
excuses. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed that very short but very impact podcast. I actually have a question for people. I've been asking everyone this recently, and I kind of want to know people's answers if they listen to this, and you can message us through the Instagram posters and all that. But if you could have one person commentate your whole life, who would it be? So go on, we'll answer this before we wrap up. Actually, who would you have, Mike?
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan.
I just love his voice.
Yeah. I would have Martin Tyler.
Of course you would.
Could you imagine? Okay, I'll be in the kitchen. I'll be making a brew. I'm on the opposite side of the kitchen. I throw a tea bag in there. It's gone into the mug. It defies description. Like, could you imagine that? Never see anything like it again. But anyway, yeah, I would love to hear your guys' answers and anything like that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll be back again with another topic. Keep yourself safe. Take time with things. But anyway, yeah. Don't know where I was going with that one, but yeah. But anyway, guys, peace out. See you all later.
Peace.